like Attila the Hun. I came here to conquer. Lanes bring the beef, I tell them no donker. They wanna play games, I shock them like Blanca. They still rudimentary, I'm tough like Tonka. And let me get this off my chest. I'm hearing going nowhere, so haters take a rest. Ain't nothing handed, just working hard, sweating. You can take that to the bank. I know I did bet.
Welcome to episode 8 of Eye of the Storm. I, of course, am your host, Tempestt. Please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new and like the content, be sure to leave a sub and hit the notification bell to know when the next video goes up. It really does help the channel out. Also, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, feel free to give those a look as well. I've also started a playlist for ease of access, and I do other videos like, compilation and my own music at times. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. Now this episode, we're going to start a topic style that we're going to do from time to time called What's the Difference? Where we take two, sometimes more, like in the case of this one, different things and go over the way to differentiate them for better understanding. In this case, we're going to go through matchups. Are you losing the actual matchup to the person or a personal matchup? Now this will be an interesting one, so buckle up for the ride. And while this will be more of a fighting game centric situation, shocker I know, it actually can apply to other games as well. You know, we all know I love my principles. So you're in an intense match, and struggling a bit, or maybe even a lot. You take the inevitable L, and you start to try and figure it out. Suddenly, you're starting to realize that it might just be a bad matchup for your character. The thing is, what happens when you get this information? Is it a crutch? Do you think this is the situation, the solution, whatever, to all of your problems? Well, this is where you have to make a differentiation of your actual problem. It's pretty difficult, and this is where some honesty needs to come in play. Trust me, you're going to hear that a lot throughout this video. But don't worry, if you're not sure, there are a ton of people, and I mean a ton, who can't do it. I'm convinced even some top players just don't understand it. So, let's get into how you can figure this out. If it's an actual matchup issue, you need to look at how you and your opponents are approaching the match, which means you have to either have a good memory, saved matches, or some weird combination of both. Studying the matchup can let you know if you're playing it wrong. This is actually one of the harder cases to know, just because both you and your opponent have to be playing the matchup in some capacity for it to be the case. If you aren't, then it's unlikely that this is your case. And in most of the time in low level and casual play, this is pretty common. Your next option is if the person themselves is the problem. This might be a bit more difficult to concern, but it also gets to a common fact that does make it easier, once again, if you're honest. Now, this is the interesting thing. As it can be difficult, it's probably the easiest on this list. Is the person you're playing doing something in particular that throws you off? Does it happen in more than one game? Are there other players who do things similar that might get you tilted when you play? Do you feel like they're in your head? Then it's quite possible your common denominator is a specific player or a specific style. Now let's talk about our third option. This is perhaps a personal matchup. Now, this might sound like the last subject we spoke on, but this one may run a bit deeper. I'm going to use myself as an example here. I have a problem with Zangief and Marth in Street Fighter and Smash respectively. Now I know how the matchup should go, somewhat in most cases, but I still get tilted playing against those characters. I usually just tend to struggle harder against these specific characters and maybe a couple others, as opposed to just the matchup. I can actually tell when it's a personal thing as opposed to a true matchup. Problem, anyway. Now, in this case, it may be the most difficult situation to identify that you actually have a personal problem with the character. However, And once again, it takes some honesty, because it could mean that even with matchup knowledge, something's holding you back. And, well, honestly, if you realize this, you're taking responsibility of your shortcomings. Well, that's my take on this subject. It's a bit of a personal reflection when dealing with this, which identifying can be a bit more difficult, but you can help the process with, let's say it together, honesty and humbleness. You gotta be willing to listen and put in a bit of work. Even if you have a personal gripe with a character, it's still possible to win with some work and some calm thinking. My usual Marth counter is Marth, ironically, or sometimes I'll just test to see if I can get my head around the player themselves. That's usually what I have to do when I'm playing Zangief players. It's all about how well you can adapt to your situation. This kind of goes for casual and competitive. Just make the most of your situation and grow. In the end, it all comes down to you to figure yourself out, but don't be afraid to look to some guidance along the way. Well, do you agree? Disagree? Have your own theory? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't be afraid to discuss with each other. I said it last video, but my comments are definitely a safe place. Discuss and grow. Just don't get too crazy. And be sure to like and sub and share with a friend. You can also contact me on other platforms. Do this however you can. You can reach me however way you know me. Now shoutouts to Schreeder for giving me some inspiration for this video. See, you never know what will trigger my brain, so don't be afraid to reach out or just interact with me on various forms of media. Now, that's it for now. So, take care of each other, be safe, press buttons, and catch you on the flip side.
Go!